chosen ones. There is a moment in every true spiritual journey when the universe stops testing your endurance and begins demanding that the world recognize your presence. You have walked through spaces where you felt entirely invisible, where your silence was mistaken for weakness, and where your lack of worldly titles made people assume you carried no weight. You grew accustomed to being overlooked in rooms full of loud titles, heavy resumes, and decorated egos. But spiritual authority has never required a uniform, and the divine markers stamped upon your soul do not need validation from human institutions. Think about the structure of this world for a moment. Society operates strictly on visible rank, badges, wealth, and earthly credentials. People are taught to bow only to what they can see, measure, and calculate. Yet, every once in a while, someone enters a room carrying an energetic weight so dense, so refined, and so undeniably rooted in truth that even the highest earthly authorities feel an instinctual need to straighten their posture. When a general, a symbol of ultimate earthly command, discipline, and power, stands up and salutes someone who holds no rank, it is not an act of military protocol. It is the recognition of an ancient, unwritten hierarchy. It is the earthly kingdom bowing to the spiritual kingdom. You were not given a title in this lifetime because a title would have limited the scope of your mission. Titles bind you to human laws, earthly organizations, and temporary authorities, but you operate under a different commission entirely. You were sent here to operate as a quiet force, an undercover presence whose true identity is kept hidden until the moment divine justice demands its reveal. If you have been wondering why you never quite fit into traditional hierarchies, or why powerful people seem strangely intimidated or fascinated by your quiet presence, this is why. You do not carry rank, you carry presence. Look back at how you have moved through the world up until this point. While others clawed their way up corporate ladders, demanded respect through loud voices, or hid behind superficial credentials, you were being shaped in an entirely different arena. You were taught to rely on raw discernment rather than human approval. You learned to read a room in seconds, sensing the motives, fears, and hidden agendas of everyone present without them saying a single word. That heightened awareness is not a personality trait. It is the natural aura of a soul that carries higher spiritual clearance. When someone who lives in the world of hard power encounters this presence, something fascinating happens inside them. A high-ranking officer or leader is trained to recognize power that has been earned through fire. They spend their entire lives surrounded by people who perform, flatter, and posture just to win their favor. But when they cross paths with you, they immediately notice the absolute absence of performance. You do not try to impress them, you do not shrink in their presence, and you do not ask for anything. That inner neutrality is the clearest indicator of an authentic, untamed authority. This is why your presence alters the temperature of any space you step into. People who are used to being the biggest force in the room suddenly find themselves moderating their speech around you. They lower their voices, they choose their words with care, and they instinctively give you space. They might not have the spiritual vocabulary to explain why they are doing it, but their spirit recognizes what their intellect cannot articulate. They are sensing the unseen legion that walks beside you, protecting the divine assignment resting on your shoulders. You must realize that spiritual rank is not inherited through human bloodlines, nor can it be purchased with earthly currency. It is forged through seasons of quiet obedience, absolute integrity when no one is watching, and the willingness to stand alone in defense of divine truth. Every time you chose grace over retaliation, every time you held your tongue when you had the power to destroy someone with the truth, your energetic rank was elevated. The universe was quietly building your spiritual posture, preparing you for moments where your mere presence would command order without a word. So when life places you in front of those who hold immense physical authority, do not lower your eyes or apologize for occupying space. You are not an intruder in those spaces. You are a quiet representative of a higher order sent to anchor balance. The salute you receive from the world's leaders, whether literal or expressed through sudden respect, deference, and unearned courtesy, is simply creation, acknowledging the divine light you have carried so faithfully through the dark. Many chosen ones spend years asking themselves why their path has been so isolated, why recognition has taken so long, and why they were kept in obscurity while others climbed earthly ladders so easily. The answer lies in the nature of high-level spiritual missions. When a valuable asset is placed in the field, they are never dressed in parade uniforms. They are cloaked in simplicity. Your humble posture, your quiet demeanor, and your lack of desire for superficial attention were all part of your spiritual camouflage. If the world had recognized who you were too early, the resistance against you would have been insurmountable. The spiritual battles you fought in secret, the sleepless nights, the unexplained spiritual attacks, the heavy emotional burdens you cleared for your ancestral line, were all conducted under the veil of absolute anonymity. You were being polished in the dark so that when you finally stood in the light, your spirit would be unbreakable. The people who dismissed you only saw your outer shell. They saw someone who didn't boast, someone who didn't fight for the head of the table, and someone who preferred solitude over crowd approval. What they failed to understand is that true power does not make noise. Thunder gets the attention, but it is the quiet lightning that changes the landscape. Your training ground was not a prestigious academy or a corporate boardroom. It was the furnace of private trial, quiet endurance, and deep personal mastery. Concealment was also your ultimate protection against spiritual arrogance. Had you been handed power, prestige, and public applause before your character was fully anchored, the ego would have consumed your mission. The universe deliberately kept you in seasons of quiet simplicity so that you would learn to draw your sense of identity purely from your divine connection, rather than the fickle praise of human beings. You had to learn how to be content in the wilderness before you could ever be trusted to walk through palace halls without losing your soul. During those long years of being overlooked, you were actually absorbing deep, observational wisdom. While people thought you were just standing in the corner being quiet, you were studying human nature at its most raw and unedited levels. You saw how fast people change when money is involved, how fragile human loyalty can be, and how desperately people crave validation. That period of enforced observation gifted you with an infallible radar for deception, a tool that now renders you virtually unmanipulatable in high-stakes environments. There is a profound freedom that comes with having nothing to prove and nothing to hide. Because you were not trained to chase earthly status, you do not carry the fear of losing it. That lack of fear is precisely what makes you so formidable to systems built on intimidation and control. When a person cannot be bought, frightened, or swayed by public opinion, they become an unaccountable variable in the eyes of lower frequency structures. Your concealment preserved your purity so that when your time arrived, you could operate with absolute, uncompromised freedom. Think of those quiet years not as lost time, but as a period of divine incubation. A seed buried under deep soil is not being punished by the darkness. It is being protected while its root system expands wide enough to support the massive structure that will eventually break through the surface. Every disappointment, every closed door, and every instance where someone chose a less qualified person over you was simply the universe keeping you locked in the vault until the precise season of your assignment arrived. Now, as the veil begins to lift, you are stepping out of concealment, not as a novice seeking a chance, but as a fully developed force of nature. The quiet endurance of your past has hardened into an internal resilience that cannot be shaken by surface-level chaos. You are ready to handle the weight of influence, because you spent years learning how to carry the weight of solitude. The obscurity was never a curse. It was the sacred shroud that kept your light safe until the world was ready for its impact. Chosen one. When a person spends decades cultivating spiritual integrity, clearing lineage curses, and holding on to compassion despite being repeatedly betrayed, their energy field changes. It develops a frequency that cannot be faked, manufactured, or purchased with earthly wealth. This frequency operates far beyond the limitations of human spoken language. It communicates directly to the subconscious mind of every soul that enters your orbit, bypassing intellect, social standing, and calculated masks. This is why powerful people, those who have grown accustomed to dominance, command, and absolute control, react so strangely when they step into your presence. They are trained to read authority from a distance. A seasoned leader or general can spot genuine discipline from miles away because they have spent a lifetime surrounding themselves with it. When they look at you, they do not just see a civilian or an ordinary person navigating daily life. Their spirit instantly senses a warrior who has survived wars they know nothing about. They recognize, on a purely intuitive level, that while they command armies of physical men, you have stood toe-to-toe with spiritual principalities in the dark and held your ground. They feel the silence behind your eyes, a silence born not of ignorance, but of deep, battle-tested wisdom. In a world full of noise, posture, and frantic self-promotion, your quiet stillness acts as a mirror that reflects their own internal reality back to them. Their sudden respect, their unexpected politeness, or even their subtle hesitation around you is not an accident or a moment of politeness. It is their underlying spirit giving a silent salute to the unseen authority living within you. You do not need to assert yourself or raise your voice to prove who you are. You do not need to list your accomplishments or fight for a seat at their tables. The divine light you carry does all the heavy lifting for you, asserting your place effortlessly without you ever having to lift a finger. Consider how fascinating it is when those who hold immense worldly power encounter someone who wants nothing from them. Most people approach powerful figures with motives, seeking favors, approval, status, or financial gain. When you stand before them with zero desire to exploit their influence, the dynamic instantly shifts. Your lack of desperation neutralizes their leverage. They realize that their earthly titles hold no sway over your internal peace, and that neutrality commands a profound level of reverence. This frequency also acts as an automatic filter for every environment you step into. Low-frequency intentions, hidden hostility, and deceitful agendas become intensely uncomfortable around your light. You may notice people shifting uncomfortably in their seats, changing the topic abruptly, or stumbling over their words when you enter the conversation. They are not responding to what you are saying. They are responding to the unspoken truth radiating from your field, exposing everything that hides in the shadows. It is crucial to understand that this divine frequency is not something you turn on and off at will. It is the natural, perpetual overflow of your internal alignment with the universe. Because you sacrifice temporary comfort to stay true to your spiritual principles, your spirit now operates at an elevated resonance. You have become a walking sanctuary, a living testimony that real power does not need to roar to make its presence felt across physical dimensions. When you walk into a room, remember that you carry the energetic weight of everything you have overcome. The general who stands up to salute you is responding to the unseen crown resting upon your head. Never diminish your presence or apologize for the quiet intensity you carry. Walk with the full assurance that your aura speaks a language of authority that the world's most powerful figures are biologically and spiritually wired to respect. The long, excruciating season of being hidden, tested, and overlooked is coming to its natural and inevitable conclusion. You were kept in the shadows for a specific period to protect your internal growth, but divine law dictates that a bright light is not meant to remain hidden under a basket forever. The universe operates on precise mathematical laws of balance, cause, and effect that can never be cheated or delayed once the appointed time arrives. Every tear you shed in solitude when no one was watching, every time you chose peace over a justified revenge, and every brutal spiritual test you passed in silence has been meticulously recorded in the ledger of heaven. Nothing you went through was wasted, and no pain you endured was without purpose. You were accumulating spiritual credit in a bank that human beings could neither see nor rob from you. We are now stepping into a cosmic phase where the invisible realm is manifesting visible, tangible results in your physical reality. The stark contrast between those who built their lives on superficial titles and those who built their lives on deep spiritual foundations is becoming undeniable to everyone around you. The illusions are crumbling, and the true weight of your character is finally rising to the top. You are about to witness massive doors swinging open, not because you begged, pleaded, or compromised your values for them, but because your spiritual rank leaves the universe with no choice but to open them. Wealth, alignment, divine partnerships, and effortless respect will begin flowing toward you simply as a natural, magnetic response to your elevated state of consciousness. You will no longer have to chase what was divinely reserved for you. Those who once mistook your gentleness for weakness and your silence for stupidity will watch in utter astonishment as you walk into spaces you were previously excluded from. They will observe your sudden elevation with a mixture of awe and deep confusion. They will ask who trained you, who funded you, and how you managed to arrive at such a commanding position without ever following their corrupt rules or bowing to their earthly systems. And the answer will remain as quiet and undeniable as it has always been. You were trained in secret by the divine, and your authority was sealed long before you took your very first breath on this earth. No human gave you your calling, which means no human possesses the power to strip it away from you. The very people who tried to bury you will eventually realize that you were a seed, destined to grow into a tree under whose shade they might one day seek refuge. This transition from obscurity to visibility is not meant for your ego to celebrate, but for divine justice to be fully demonstrated on the earth. It serves as a living proof that righteousness, patience, and unwavering faith always triumph over deceit and short-term manipulation. Your elevation will restore hope to others who are still navigating their own dark seasons of isolation and quiet endurance. Prepare your heart and mind for the magnitude of what is coming toward you. Release the old identity of the struggling survivor, because you are stepping into the role of the appointed steward. The repayment for your years of sacrifice will not be subtle. It will be overwhelming, complete, and permanent. The veil has been lifted, the scales have been balanced, and your season of divine vindication has officially begun. Chosen one. Moving forward, you must step fully and unreservedly out of the residual energy of self-doubt, perpetual survival, and spiritual hesitation. You can no longer afford to view your identity through the distorted lens of those who failed to perceive your true value during your season of concealment. Looking back to seek validation from systems, institutions, or relationships that were never designed to comprehend the magnitude of your soul is a misuse of your current spiritual elevation. The time for begging for a seat at tables built on superficial foundations has permanently expired. It is time to step into the quiet, unshakable dignity of a soul that fully realizes who stands beside them, who goes before them, and who has commissioned their path from the very beginning. When life places you in front of powerful figures, grand opportunities, or rooms that were engineered to intimidate the faint of heart, remember precisely who you are and what you carry. You do not cross those thresholds as a humble supplicant, hoping for scraps of recognition or temporary tolerance. You enter as an appointed steward of divine light, sent to shift the spiritual temperature of the space. You do not need to posture, speak loudly, or adopt the aggressive tactics of the worldly structures around you to make your presence felt. Your silence, when rooted in divine connection, carries more weight than their most elaborate speeches, and your calm composure will naturally expose the volatility of those who rely purely on earthly rank. Keep your heart deeply humble before the divine, but let your spirit stand at its full, unbending height in the presence of human power. Understanding your true position requires a fundamental shift in how you process the conflicts, resistance, and opposition that may still try to cross your path. You must recognize that the attacks aimed at you were never truly personal. They were directed at the light, the authority, and the divine assignment operating through you. When people react to you with unprovoked hostility, subtle sabotage, or sudden discomfort, they are simply reacting to the mirror your frequency presents to their unhealed aspects. Instead of absorbing their projection, or dropping your frequency to engage in petty arguments, maintain your position as an observer who operates from a higher vantage point. Your silent neutrality is your greatest defense and your most potent weapon, allowing the universe to handle the resistance while you remain focused on your core mission. As you step into this elevated season of visibility, your primary responsibility is to anchor this higher authority into every practical aspect of your physical reality. True spiritual mastery is not meant to remain an abstract concept discussed in isolation. It must express itself through how you handle your affairs, how you manage your resources, and how you interact with the world. Walk with clarity in your decisions, set unyielding boundaries that protect your peace, and execute your daily responsibilities with an uncompromising standard of excellence. When your inner spiritual rank is matched by outer discipline and order, you become an unstoppable force that commands respect across both the seen and unseen realms. You are being called to become a living sanctuary for those who are still navigating the dark, disorienting corridors of their own spiritual awakening. The wisdom you accumulated during your years in the furnace was not meant to be hoarded for personal comfort, but to serve as a beacon for others who feel forgotten, isolated, and overwhelmed by the world. Your very existence stands as living proof that a soul can endure severe trials, face betrayal, and walk through total obscurity without losing its purity, its compassion, or its divine connection. By stepping boldly into your true position, you create a safe pathway for other chosen ones to recognize their own authority and step out of the shadows. Do not fear the scale of the blessings, responsibility, and influence that are now flowing into your life as part of this divine realignment. The universe does not assign heavy commissions to those who lack the internal architecture to carry them, and every test you passed in secret was designed to build the spiritual structure capable of supporting your future. The wealth, opportunities, and connections coming your way are simply tools meant to expand your capacity to do good, establish balance, and bring order to chaotic environments. Accept them with gratitude, manage them with wisdom, and never allow the fleeting luxury of the physical world to obscure the eternal purpose behind your calling. The days of shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable, explaining away your intuitive gifts, or apologizing for the intensity of your aura are forever behind you. You have paid the full price in secret, endured the silent refining fire, and earned the spiritual clearance required to carry this level of presence. Stand firmly in the authority that has been assigned to you, knowing that the spiritual hierarchy backing your steps is far greater than any opposition that could ever form against you in this world. The general who stood up and saluted you without seeing a physical badge was responding to an eternal truth that can no longer be hidden from creation. Your rank was forged in fire, sealed by the divine, and written in the stars long before this world was formed. Stepping into this true position is not about vanity or proving others wrong. It is about honoring the long, quiet road you walked to get here. You have carried your light faithfully through the dark, and now you are being asked to let it shine without reservation. Walk forward with quiet strength, knowing that every step you take is ordered, protected, and fully aligned with a purpose far greater than yourself. Thank you for walking this sacred path with such grace and endurance. If this message resonated with your spirit, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom Path. Like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay grounded, stay aware, and always remember, your true rank is written in the stars.